What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of SNT Talk Football. Today we have a really special episode. It's going to be a bit of a longer episode because we are coming down to the last match day of the Champions League group stage. Some groups have already been decided. Some really big matches to play for in the next to get to the next round of Champions League. Some will go to the Europa League, but yeah, it's all going to unfold on this match day right here. So we're going to be previewing the six biggest matches from this game week, which we'll get into a bit later in the episode. And we're also going to be discussing the ESPN FC top 100 rankings, which have shocked most of the footballing world. Some really weird picks, some deserved picks. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get right into today's episode. Sid, what matches have we chosen for today?
So the first match is Inter Milan versus Shakhtar. I think, it's again, Inter Milan are doing horribly in their group. I'm pretty sure their last. Shakhtar, on the other hand, have been doing. They've exceeded expectations. I think they're second in Group B. Yep, they are a point behind Gladbach, and they're. I think they're just no. Wait, what? Okay, so they're behind Real on goal difference. So they are actually third. So I think.
No, no. So I'll explain this to you. I think this concept has been a bit unclear with everyone.
Oh, it's a
In
head
the
to head.
they work with head to head ahead of goal difference. So Shakhtar beat Real twice, and even if they have the worst goal difference, and them and Real are tied on points, Shakhtar will go through ahead of them. Real will be sent to the Europa League, and considering whatever happens, Real Inter will probably go out in that scenario. But yeah, I'll let you continue.
So I actually think Real are gonna beat Mönchengladbach. We'll talk about that later. But that will mean that if Inter beat Shakhtar, they won't qualify. So I don't know. I think Inter can beat Shakhtar because I think, no offense, but this is a bit of it's just a good run of form for Shakhtar. I think Inter have a stronger team definitely. Um, I think Inter will win 3-0. Uh, a special guest Aries back on the podcast. What are your thoughts on this one?
Hello. I have to agree with you on that. I think Shakhtar are like they surprised a lot of us in the group. I think Inter will pull off a good result, maybe 2-0 or 2-1. But maybe if Shakhtar can surprise us like they have done before, then the result could be different. But I'm going to 1 Inter.
So both of you have made some predicted Inter wins. I'm also going to predict an Inter win. I think Lukaku is always a man for the big occasions. He's definitely a big game player. He showed that in previous Champions League games as well. A famous 3-1 win in Paris with Man United. He's also scored important goals in the Serie A as of recently. I think Inter, they've picked up form. They won on the weekend. I think it was 2-0 when I checked it in the 65th minute. I think Alexis Sanchez also finding form slowly but surely, which is something a lot of football fans would love to see. But I think that Inter are going to win 2-0. I think Shakhtar will be dropping out to the Europa League, but I'll get into exactly who else is going to be dropping out of that group. But yeah, that takes us right into our next big match for this one, which is Real Madrid versus Mönchengladbach. Sid, what's going to happen here?
Again, Real have been, well, they've not been their usual selves because they won 4 Champions Leagues in the last decade. Uh, yeah, Mönchengladbach, on the other hand, are topping their group, which is really good. But I don't know. I feel even though Real are behind and their results have definitely been worse than Mönchengladbach's, I just still think they're going to win because they just have a much better team. Like, you look at their team and then you see all these stars, like some of the best players in the world are in their team, and they are they are what, third in their group. So I think it's a must win for Real. If they don't win, I don't know that they're going to the Europa League, but I think they will win only because of some of the players they've got in their team. I mean, it's just their team is just too good to be where they are right now, and I think they will beat Mönchengladbach. I think they should be fired up to play this game, to win this game, so they can qualify. I'm gonna say 2-0 to Real. What are your thoughts on this one?
So I agree that in that Real have a lot of like star players, but I do think that Borussia Mönchengladbach can pull off something, top the group, send Real to the Europa League. I think it's about time that Real go in some other competition because they've, yeah, like you said, they won. Uh, they like Real won 4 Champions League in the last decade. So I think they. I mean, I don't. It's not a Europa League prediction, but I think they can do something in Europa League, not in the Champions League. I'm going with 1-0 Borussia Mönchengladbach.
So Reyes has predicted a Gladbach win. Sid has predicted a Real win. I'm gonna say that Gladbach will win. I'm gonna say Real do have some potential game changers. They've got Benzema, Jovic, Hazard. Hazard, I'm not sure if he's fit because he's never really been fit while playing for Real Madrid. Cruz, Modric, Casemiro. They've got some really good players, and Ramos also probably going to be back for the match. I think Vinicius Junior scored a decisive goal against Sevilla on the weekend to win the game. But I'm still going to go for a Gladbach win because I think Gladbach are, as a team, while they might not have the best individual players, I think they work really well together as a team. I think underrated players who play for them, Newhouse, Playa, Marcus Thuram, and Lazaro as well, a player who was on loan last season at Inter. But I really think that they'll win. I think that Gladbach will win, and I think Playa is going to grab the decisive goal. But that will take us into our next match for this game week, which is Salzburg against Atletico Madrid. Said, you know the drill. What's going to happen?
This is the group decide. It's controlled by Bayern. They've already qualified. I think booked their ticket, their first place in their group. Obviously, that's expected. But Atletico leads Salzburg by 2 points. They're currently 2 points ahead. So Atletico can do with a draw. I think Atletico will be most happy to take a draw. But if Salzburg want to qualify for the knockout stages, they have to beat Atletico. And I think it's not like a scenario where a smaller team is ahead and then the bigger team is behind. It's Atletico are a bigger team than Salzburg. They are the team in the match who typically control the ball, and they're not going to sit back and counter attack. Um, I don't know. I don't think Salzburg will be able to win. I think Atletico can win. I think also mainly because their players have that in their mind that they can draw, they can do with a draw. The pressure is not on them, it's on Salzburg, and it makes a much bigger difference. Who knows? We could be surprised, but I feel no, Atletico will win or draw. I think, yeah, they'll win. They'll win and they'll qualify. And Salzburg will probably go to Europa League. So I'm going to say 3-1 to Atletico because some of their players have been on such good form. João Felix showing up in the Champions League and even in the La Liga. So I think, yeah, I think Atletico will win. What are your thoughts on this one?
So yeah, like you said, João Felix is playing really well, but I think that but I do agree with you that Atletico can do the draw, and like, there's no pressure. I guess there is kind of a bit of pressure, but a draw will do. I think they will draw at Salzburg. I think it's only 1-1. Yeah, it's gonna be quite a like a. It's not gonna. I don't want to say boring match because I think it'll be a like very unpredictable match because I think Salzburg have a few good players that can like maybe change something, but I don't think that's enough to like beat Atletico. I think Atletico will not start uh, all of their players. I think they are kind of underestimated. I think they will underestimate Salzburg, but I think it'll still be 1-1.
I think that I know I don't. I think Atletico will actually win this game. While I do want Salzburg to win because I always like to see the underdog win. I think Salzburg has got some good players. Lazabai. Last year they had Haaland, Hwang Hee-chan, Minamino, who's probably not as big as the other two right now. But I think that They've got some good players. Polsen, sorry, he's Leipzig. My bad. But I think Atletico will win. I think João Felix just won La Liga Player of the Month. Atletico won on the weekend, 2-0 win. Lemar scored a goal as well, a long overdue goal, in fact. I think Atletico can grab the win, especially if they attack the game instead of sitting back, as they are known to do. And recent history has shown it's worked for them, but I think that they're going to attack this game. I think they'll win 2-0. I think João Felix will again be the decisive man, as he has been for them so many times this season. And I'm going to say Atletico go through to the last 16. But without that, will take us right into our next match, for which we're going to be talking about, previewing this week, which is Ajax versus Atalanta, the decisive game, kind of a playoff game for who will go through to the last 16. Sid, what do you think is going to happen here?
As you may know, that Liverpool have booked the first place. They've got the first place confirmed in their group. Now it's up to Ajax and Atalanta. I think it's going to be a tough game because they drew last time around, which means it's close. Atalanta currently lead on points, and oh wow, their goal difference is the same, and I think their head to head will also be the same. So it's a bit of a tricky one, obviously, because Atalanta have 1 point ahead. They'll take a draw, because if they draw, they'll obviously qualify. So the pressure on this one is on Ajax. This is a really tough one, because I know that Atalanta have the advantage here, but I feel Ajax definitely. Obviously, in the 2-0 match, we didn't play our first team, and Ajax in both legs gave us a much bigger fight. I think they gave us a better game. Obviously, Atalanta did beat us 2-0, but we weren't playing. Liverpool weren't playing their first team. So I think this Ajax team will do well under pressure. They were under pressure at Anfield, and they pulled off a good performance. They just weren't that clinical. But they created some really good chances, and I think they have a lot of pace, and I think Atalanta centre backs definitely lack pace. So do their wing backs. So I think Ajax will win. I think Ajax will win 2-1. I think their pace forward, their experience, Davy Klaassen, Gravenbach, who's a good player, Shores, who's a good player. I think all those guys together, I think they give a really good fight to Atalanta. So yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 to Ajax. I think they'll qualify. I'm gonna say Anthony, and I think Huntela will score later on to decide. I think Papu Gomez will score for Atalanta. He's a really good player. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Rees?
I have to disagree with you there. I think Atlanta are a much better team than some would suggest. I think Ilicic and Papu Gomez, they're like, if they the intricate play can be very good, and if they combine, and I think they'll be unstoppable and like too good for Ajax. Although Ajax do have a lot of good players, like you said, Gravenberch and yeah, Anthony, and they have some like decent players who I mean I don't want I'm not underestimating them or like underrating them. I think they have the potential to stop Ajax and stop Atlanta. Sorry, so I think Atlanta can pull off like a 2-0 win like against Liverpool. So I'm going 2-0, and I think Ilicic will score two if he starts, and Papu Gomez will get both assists.
So both of you have predicted different winners from this game. I think that I feel like an Ajax win is definitely a possibility, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think people do really rate Atlanta. Last season, they got all the way to the quarterfinals. They were, everyone was rooting for them if their club was already out. They had some great players, put in some great performances, and it was heartbreak in the way they went out. A 2-1 win, two stoppage time goals from PSG, Marquinhos and Choupo-Moting, who sealed the win for PSG. I think that they play really fast, fluid, attacking football. They're always creating chances, always on the front foot. But I'm going to say that Ajax are going to win this game 2-1. I'm going to agree with you there, Sid. I think Tadic will score one. I think Neres will get one. And I think Gosens will pull one back for Atlanta, but it'll be too late for them to do anything. And yeah, so I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for Ajax, saying that they will go through. Liverpool, they will be the ones to join Liverpool going through this group. But yeah, that will take us right on to our second last game for this preview, and that is going to be Man United versus RB Leipzig. Sid, what happens here?
I think Group of Death is a deciding match. It's gonna be an amazing match. I'm gonna watch it for sure. This group is so tight, and I'm gonna take my predictions on this one. I'm gonna talk about this one, assuming that PSG will beat Istanbul, which I expect them to definitely. So let's say PSG beat Istanbul, then they are confirmed qualified. They'll have 12 points currently. PSG, Leipzig, and United stand on 9 points each. So if PSG beat Istanbul, which I think they will, then it really comes down to the wire with Leipzig and United. I think United can take a draw because their goal difference and their head to head is better than Leipzig. So So again, I've said this many times. The team now, the pressure for this one is on Leipzig because they have to win. United can sit back and defend if they like. They can attack if they like. But I think Leipzig, they have to. This group is so tough. So I want Leipzig to win, but I feel because there's so much pressure on them, and because United know they can sit back, they can defend, they can play on the counter attack. There's no issue with that. They'll take the draw. So I'm gonna say it will be a 2-all draw, and I think that'll take United to the next round with Paris Saint-Germain. Uh, Leipzig drew in the weekend in Munich. Their defense is a little bit shaky, but they have some really good defenders. But I think mainly Leipzig will qualify because the pressure on them is too much. The psychological advantage United have over them is just enough. It's enough to take them through. So I'm gonna say, um, Bruno Fernandes and Rashford score. It's like regular, normal predictions. And for Leipzig, I'm gonna say, oh, mm, Justin Kluivert and Haidara score, but I don't think it won't be enough to take them through. Arez, what are your thoughts on this one?
So this is obviously a very, very nervous match. Like, I'm very nervous about this match. But see, like you said, United are in the driving seat for this one. A draw will do, since we beat them 5-0 Old Trafford the last time out. So a draw will do for us. But I think that we do much better under pressure. And I think when we are given a choice, not given a choice, but like if we are able to just see the game out with a draw, I think we struggle with that. I think if we have to win, we do better at that, because I like with a draw we can just see the game out and just like sit back, play five at the back. It's like with that, I don't think we have enough top quality defenders for us to like properly defend. Like our defenders, are much better aerially, but I think like we don't have the quality in our defensively, apart from maybe a few two people. I can name like two people who are good, um like who I can trust defensively. But I think if we go attacking against this match and positively, not for the draw, and I think we can win this 3-1. I think we have a better squad than Leipzig, where we beat West Ham 3-1 previously. I think we played really well. We played really well in the second half. The first half is obviously it's not good for us. But I think if we can get a good first half, we can with a good start to maybe 3 goals, like we did before. I mean, like we did in the second half last time out. If we can do that in the first half this time, then it'll be much better for us. Yeah. So my prediction is me 3-1. But that is if we can. Uh, if we play four at the back and go positively into this game. But like if Ole lines up in a five back, I think we need a lot of luck to see this game out. So yeah, 3-1 is my prediction, but it could go the other way. Maybe a draw.
I'm also gonna. This is definitely the decider for the group of death. this group has kept everyone hooked right from the start. United started off really strong, then they lost to Istanbul, lost to PSG now. They did beat Leipzig 5-0 and they did initially beat PSG at the Parc des Princes. Rashford scored later on to seal the win for United. I think that this is going to be one of the bigger games in the group, and I feel that everyone's going to be tuning in this game. I feel like this game is definitely worth watching over Barca Juve, but I think that the two players involved in Barca Juve will attract more attention. So I'm gonna say that United win this game 2-1. I think Bruno Fernandes, he's easily their best player in my opinion. There shouldn't really be much debate about that. He changed the game for them second half. He created 7 chances, which is the most any player has created in a single Prem game this season. And you know 8 chances, sorry. And I think that they've got some good finishers. They're finally getting back to form. Cavani, a player who I doubted when they initially signed him, he has been turning up for them. And I think Martial out of form, he could definitely find his form again in an instant. But I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for United. I'm saying Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, and I think Nkunku will pull one back for the German outing. But that will bring us to our last game, and this is the game most people are lining up to watch this week. It is Barca versus Juve, Messi versus Ronaldo, the last dance. Sid, what happens here?
Both teams have definitely qualified. Barca, the only team with 100% record. They won every single one of their games. So I think the main one, Juve will really want to win this one because they'll want to come first. But even if they beat Barca, they're still tied on points. But obviously you want to come first so you can get the second place. You'll draw the second place teams or in the round of 16. So I think Messi, Ronaldo. It's a big occasion. I don't think it's been a Messi, Ronaldo in a while since Ronaldo went to Juve. So I don't know. Barca look really good in the Champions League, but now I expect Koeman to rest many of their big players because they've qualified, and I think they've guaranteed first place anyways. They can do with a draw. Or that they're doing terrible in the La Liga right now. They're doing so badly. So I think he'll definitely rest many of the players, but obviously Barcelona, their substitutes are world class players. So because I think Barcelona will rest many of these guys, I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw. I think. Oh, not no. I think Chiesa and Trincao will score. It's very random, but yeah, I think it'll be enough to confirm the first place for Barcelona. What do you think of this one, Aris?
I think this is going to be my most surprising prediction so far. 3-0 Juve, Ronaldo hat trick. Uh, I think we won't. I mean, I just think this is going to happen. It's my prediction. It's quite random, but Ronaldo hat trick. If they start him, I really want them to. Even though I'm not going to see this game, I'm going to see United Leipzig. I still want Ronaldo and Messi to start just because. I think if they start Ronaldo, it's going to be 3-0 Juve. If they don't, it's going to be 0-0. It's pretty simple. Ronaldo starts. It's hat trick for him. I mean, I'm not going to start a Ronaldo Messi debate, but 3-0 Juve.
I think again this is probably the last time these two are going to play each other, at least at a club level, unless UEFA decides to go and chuck them in the same group again next year. I think that I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Barca win. I think Barca would actually no, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Juve win. I'm sorry, my mind is really conflicted about this match. I'm gonna say 2 goals. I think Morata will score one, Ronaldo will score one, and I think that potentially it could be one Messi goal to pull it back. I would just Messi penalty. Yeah, he's only been scoring penalties this season. Not he only has one open play goal all season, which is shocking from someone who's the best player of all time according to many people around the world. But I'm gonna say 2-1 Juve win. Morata, who has had the highest expected XG in the Juve team, and Ronaldo. I hope for Juve's sake that Dybala doesn't start because he's been dreadful this season, and he's definitely been the one person who's slowing them down, if anyone. So I'm gonna say 2-1 Juve win. Pirlo and his team will take the win. But yeah, that will take us right into the second segment of today's episode, which is discussing the ESPN FC Top 100 rankings. So right now on your screen, you can see the top 10 goalkeepers. What do you guys think about this list? What will you change from this list?
Oh no,
Say.
I think Allison is better than Neuer. He's the best goalkeeper in the world. I do not care. He's the best goalkeeper in the world. And whew, wait 1 second. I don't. How there's no Lloris on this list. In what world is Lloris not in the top 10 goalkeepers in the world? No, absolutely not. I think Lloris deserves to be on this list instead of De Gea, because De Gea has been horrible. This is the 2020 rankings, and De Gea has been terrible this season. Lloris has been much better than him. I think De Gea should be gone out of this list, and I think Lloris should be there. And yeah, I think otherwise, apart from that, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine apart from that. I think the only change I would make is take out De Gea and put in Lloris. I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this, but I don't care. Uh, Aries, tell me what do
Right,
you
bring a lot of backlash, especially for me. See, yes, I agree. De Gea, it's a 2020 thing, and De Gea, I mean, he's he's been very inconsistent to the start, and no, uh, like he made that mistake against Chelsea, against Spurs, but I still think that, I mean, I seriously didn't understand why he should have gotten replaced by Henderson. So many of the United fans were saying that. I never said that. I think I always trusted him. He is injured right now, but I think he's playing well right now. But obviously, it is the whole 2020. So I think he can't go ahead of 10. I mean, he can't go ninth. I do agree that Lloris should get some shout, but I think Lloris is also injured for some time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so yeah, I don't exactly know Lloris's stats and stuff, but I do know like De Gea has kept quite a few clean sheets towards the start, and he was a big factor. Who he was not recognized that got us to Champions League football. Obviously, it was Bruno Fernandes that played the bigger role, but I think De Gea was overlooked. He kept quite a few clean sheets in throughout 2020, but he was very inconsistent, like our United squad. But I think he deserves to be at least 10th, not higher. 10th is fine. So I agree with this list. I agree Neuer should be first, above Allison, because Allison, like, he is not he's there's nothing he's it's not like he didn't deserve first. I just think Neuer was better, and like considering Neuer's age, he's 34 now, and like how he played, he won the treble with Bayern. And I just think Allison, he was also like Lloris was injured. That's why Liverpool had to start Adrian for a couple of big games, actually more than a couple of big games. Um, so yeah, I think that's why it's not that Allison has done anything wrong. He's been quite consistent. So I think I agree with this list overall.
I think that this is one of the more accurate lists we're going to see in today's episode. I think I agree with the top three there. I think Courtois and Ter Stegen should switch their positions. I think Ter Stegen is not. He's playing in a Barca team who are currently like seventh in the league, which is not where we see Barca ever. I think they lost to Cadiz on the weekend as well. I think Courtois last season, a title-winning season for Real. I think he's been superb for them. Was definitely one of their standout players, making up for the season before last, where he kind of didn't have his best season. I think that Lloris definitely deserves a shout for this list. I think I really don't rate Edison. I can think right now, I can bring three instances to mind where he's been chipped from the halfway line. I can mention them as well. Salah 17-18, McTominay 19-20, and Che Adams also 19-20. I really don't see that. I don't see how or why Edison deserves a spot on this list. I think he's not a good goalkeeper. I think he's not a good outfield player. I think he's a bit overconfident sometimes, especially now that. But now he's got a good defense, so he's going to be putting up better numbers. He's got a solid defense in Laporte and Diaz. So I'm going to say that Lloris over Edison, and everyone else gets bumped up a bit, and then Navas and Donnarumma both move one spot ahead, and Lloris sits in the eighth spot. But yeah, that's what those are the only changes I would make to this list, and that will take us right into our next ranking, which is the top right backs of this season. But yeah, Sid, what do you think? What do you think? What would you change about this list?
I have a couple of changes. I think I would switch Hakimi and Walker. I would make Walker second, and then I would switch Hakimi and Pavard. So I'd make Pavard fifth, Carvajal fourth as he is. I would make Hakimi third, Walker second, and I agree. Trent first deserves it. And higher up in the list, I have some things I disagree with. Ricardo Pereira was good, but he hasn't played in 2020. Well, has he? No, he hasn't. So I don't think he should be on the list if he hasn't played. And I think instead of Ricardo Pereira should be Cancelo. And I think Dest has been like he's made his way into the Barca team, but I think Dest should be replaced by Reece James. I think Reece James is really good. I think he's a good player. So I would switch. I would make Trippier 10th, and I would make Cancelo 9th and Reece James 8th. Oh, I know a lot of people might not agree with me with Ricardo Pereira, but he hasn't played this year. So I don't know. Now people are telling me Lamptey, how I really like Lamptey, but I wouldn't put him in the top 10. He's upcoming. He's not proved himself yet. I want to see him for a bigger club playing at a bigger stage than for Brighton in the Premier League. So he's not in my list just yet, but I think he's definitely one for the future. What do you think about this one, Aries?
I think there's something that would change this list. I'm not gonna fully re-rank it, but I think Hatterboer had a better season than I think Walker. Walker played well in a decent Man City side, in a good Man City side. But I think he was just Walker is like very consistent. I don't think he stood out. I think Hatterboer played a big role in the Atlanta side that reached the semifinals. Uh, and then yeah, Sid said, Ricardo Pereira. I don't. Yeah, he's hardly played. If has he even played in the 2020? I'm not sure. I don't think maybe a couple of games towards the start. But I don't understand how he's there when he's hardly played. Uh, I think yeah, above him, I would put maybe in the 10th spot. I think he barely gets in is Van Bissaka. Uh, he's not like he had a good 2019. I think because but the start of 1920 he was very good. But then after lockdown he was like very like he had a couple of like his recoveries were good. That's the only thing that stood out about him in the June July period. But I still think he can squeeze in maybe above Des because what like he got the most tackles in the Premier League. I'm not sure what number, but I still think he deserves to be there above Ricardo Pereira, who hardly played, and maybe he squeezed in above Des and Reece James. I think, yeah, I think he also gets a shout. But see, I've not seen how Des has played. He's signed. I think he was linked with Bayern, and then obviously Barca signed him, so he would have like done something to get that interest. So I can't really speak on Dest, but I have seen Reece James, and Reece James has been very consistent. I've not seen the guy make a mistake. So I think, yeah, he should be there. I'm not gonna like list them, but I think Reece James and Wan Bissaka should come in for maybe Dest, who I've not seen, and Ricardo Pereira.
I think that this is again a bit of a weird one. I don't see what Pavard has done to take that third spot. Again, I don't know why Ricardo Pereira is even included in that list. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say Walker and Pavard just switch positions, like for like switch. I think Hatterboer and moves up and he should be somewhere higher. I would say ahead of Navas maybe because he was a Champions League quarterfinalist, and while Navas was a Europa League winner, I think Hateboer performance wise was better last season. Yeah, Atlanta scored the most goals last season, and he was a big part of that. And while it isn't that isn't the only job of a fullback to be involved in the goals, I think Attabor does that pretty well. And likewise for Navas, he's more of an attacking fullback. He's converted from a winger at Man City. He used to play. I would say that you take out Ricardo Pereira, like for like switch, and you put. I'm not going to say Van Bissaka. I think he's been a bit shaky coming into this year, and since then he's been average this season. He's had a few good games, a few bad games, a few mid games. I'm gonna say Van Bissaka doesn't get in there for me. I'm gonna say that it's actually a pretty tricky one because there's a few players who could actually make their way in there. I'm gonna say Reece James, Chelsea player, takes the number 8 spot for me. He's been the best right back in the league so far this season, but don't let that distract you from the fact that Trent is a better player than him. Trent has just been injured, and he didn't have the best start to the season, but he is coming into his own. Played a killer pass against Wolves just yesterday, and yeah, we're not even done with the Premier League predictions for this week because the games haven't been played tonight, and we're already doing the UCL ones. But I want to say that Reece James take the number 8 spot for me, and that will take us into our next ranking, which is the opposite flank. It's the best left backs of this season, which was probably one of the most shocking ones. So, Sid, do you have anything to say about this one?
Oh, yes, I do. How can you put Marcelo and Forlan Mendy in the top 10? They're from the same team. And if top 10 are the best in the world, if you have to be on that list, you can't be equal to the person who you're competing with to play in your team. And I think Forlan Mendy has been better than Marcelo. I don't know what the hell Alexandro is doing at number 4. Like, he has been good in the past, but he's not. He's like fading a little bit. So I would switch Alexandro and Forlan Mendy, and then I would switch and then I would put, so then Forlan Mendy would go number 4 and Alexandro and Marcelo 10 and 9, and I would take them out and I would put in Luca Dean from Everton. I would put him at number 9. And which other players? Um, I don't know. I would take out Marcelo definitely, and I would take out. Sorry, I would take out Marcelo and I'd take out Alexandro and I'd put in Luca Dean. I'd put Alex Tellez because he signed for United playing Champions League. He's been good. So I'd put him at 10th and I'd put um Luca Dean at 9th. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this category. I think the other rankings are fine. Maybe a switch for Ben Chilwell and Regulon, but otherwise, actually, no, maybe a switch for Regulon and Theo Hernandez, but otherwise, there's nothing else. What do you think about this one, Aries?
I agree with the players that you're bringing in, Tellez and Luca Dean. I also agree that I don't know what Alexandro and Marcelo are doing there. Like, how can you have two left backs from the same club? Uh, I don't understand that. I think Guerrero's had a very good season, very good year with Borussia Dortmund. I think Guerrero should move up to number 4. Reguilon also played really well at 5. Hernandez to 6, and then I would bring in Luca Dean probably at number 7 ahead of Ben Chilwell, and Alex Tellez maybe uh, number 10, and then Mendy at 9. Yeah, that's it. I might be forgetting someone or some other left back. I'm sorry about that, but these are the ones I can think of right now.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say Marcelo, Alexandro. Alexandro at 4th had me laughing. I think ESPN are still living in 2017. Alexandro is nowhere near the top 10 left backs in the world, and Lucas Digne not even being considered for a list like this is just dreadful, really. So I'm going to take out Marcelo. Marcelo, I think, is a bit more understandable, but he's not been top 10 left back since that 17-18 Champions League final. That was his last good season. He's not been the same since then. So I'm going to say that Furlan Mendy jumps up to fourth for me, and the 10th position will be taken by Telles, and the ninth position will be taken by Everton's Luca Dean. But that takes us again into the next position we have for this one, which is it moves us to the center of defense, which is center backs. I think this was a pretty weird list. I think they've included some players who don't even play center back anymore. But we will talk about that right now. Sid, let's start off with Arrays. Let's switch up the order a bit. Arrays, what do you think about this list?
So yeah, I agree. The player, like the position thing, Marquinhos is a midfielder now, so I don't know what he's doing on the list. I actually couldn't think of some centre backs. I think like I have some doubts. I mean, like Varane, I mean, yeah, he has been quite consistent for Real. Somewhat, I don't really watch Varane that closely, but I like the quarterfinal against City. I think he messed up a bit over there. I think Upamecano's had a very good season. Alaba, also he had a very good season. I think people are underrating Alaba a lot. I don't. Maybe he deserves the number three. I'm not sure. Uh, I think Koulibaly. I don't think number four this year. Maybe number four like last year he had a very good season 2019. Uh, I think maybe he a bit higher. Laporte also he squeezes in Delete as well. I think Jules Koundé, obviously they won the Sevilla won the Europa League, so he obviously played a part in that. So yeah, that's I just have a couple of like uh, position changes. Maybe Alaba, yeah, actually Alaba at number three is fine for me, and maybe Upamecano a spot higher, and then like Delete. He's joined Juve and he's like been in and out of the team with Bonucci there, and yeah. So I think there's still a lot of competition in that for the centre back role because Chiellini and Bonucci are not like done for, and they obviously have Demiral. So yeah, and Marquinhos doesn't he's not really had a bad season that he doesn't deserve to be. I don't think he deserves to be on the centre back list because he played uh, midfield for Champions League and for sorry not Champions League for PSG.
So I'm gonna next. I'm also saying that I don't know why Marquinhos has been included as a centre back there. I've not been following PSG since the departure of Thiago Silva, so if he has moved back to a centre back position, that's my bad. But for the majority of the time he's been playing at in 2020, he's not been at centre back. He's played a defensive midfield role. He recently played against United, so I don't know where he was playing that game. Was he playing in midfield race? Was Marquinhos playing in midfield against United?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that Marquinhos, again, not a centre back, doesn't deserve to be on the list for that reason only. I think that I think they've put Alaba third, but since the turn of the year, Alaba has been Bayern's biggest liability, and really all Bayern fans have turned on him because he's just been so unreliable for them, really. And I think that someone who deserves to be higher than that is Upamecano. I think Upamecano and Alaba should switch positions. And while Upamecano is still young, I think that I think Upamecano and Alaba should switch positions. So that's the only reason I'm saying that. I think instead of Marquinhos, there's quite a few players you could pick to take his position. I would put Marquinhos into the best defensive midfielders list, but I'm gonna say at centre back, a player who could take it is I'm gonna say Thiago Silva because he was a UCL finalist and he started off really well with Chelsea and I don't know why he isn't there, but he just isn't there. So I'm gonna say Thiago Silva 10th, and yeah, that's gonna take us into the last position which we cover in today's episode. Oh wait, sorry, I completely forgot about Sid. So yeah, Sid, please.
Oh yeah, 1 minute. So I said Marquinhos. Marquinhos actually played centre back versus United. This is Diallo player on the left back. So yeah, that's my bad. But he has played midfield the majority.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. This Marquinhos is not a centre back; he's a defensive midfielder. So sorry, he has to leave this. I'm gonna replace him with Thiago Silva because he reached the Champions League finally. Been playing well at Chelsea, and I'm gonna take out Kunde And instead of Kunde, I'm going to put Ruben Diaz. Because I just think he's been better. He's signed for City. The Premier League is super high intensity, and he's been good. He's been good for the past whatever 2-3 months he's been at City. And in terms of rankings, I think I would switch Alaba and Upamecano. So I'd take Upamecano to third and Alaba to fifth. And then Alaba, I would switch again with Thiago Silva. I'd actually put Thiago Silva at fifth. Because Alaba, I think he's being a little bit overrated because he's very shaky. He's a really good left back, and I think I just don't think. I think he's been a bit of a liability for them. So I'm gonna say Alaba 10th, and yeah, that's it for the centre back category. Our last category for today, because we're gonna do the rest in the next episode. Make sure you check that out. Um, the last category is defensive midfielders or just center midfielders, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna start with this category. I'm gonna say, this. There are some. You know what? I actually think I sort of agree with all the people who are in this list. I'm happy with the people who are number 10. Maybe I'm forgetting someone. Or the rankings, I would switch Henderson with Tony Cruz. I take Henderson to number 3, and yeah, that's actually the only thing I would do. I'd take Henderson to number 3, and yeah, otherwise I think all the others, everybody who's in it is fine. I think I agree with that. So you guys, Arez, you want to say yours for the sentiments?
So I don't think Kante. I think Kante is the only one. I don't really think he's a very good player, obviously, but I think he had a much better 2019. He's obviously was ranked number 1 last year, but I don't think he should be number 5. I don't think he should be in the list at all. I think Kovacic, his teammate, won the Chelsea's Player of the Year. So, and I obviously saw him. I think he was very consistent and like he was like very good also. So I think he should be on that list instead of Kante. Maybe not at number 5, but maybe somewhere on that list I'd put Kovacic. And yeah, otherwise, I like said, I also agree with this list. Maybe Cruz is ranked a bit high, but I think yeah, Casemiro also had a very good season with Real. So I think maybe Casemiro and Cruz could switch. And but I agree overall with like Kimmich getting it and Thiago coming second. I agree.
I think, yeah, the Bayern midfielders all deservedly there. Those are Kimmich is definitely, in my opinion, their most important player. He's the one who links their play together. A super player, definitely deserves that number 1 spot. I would switch around. I would agree with Sid, Cruz and Henderson. I think Henderson has been a very good, underrated midfielder this season. And while there was shouts for him to be player of the year, which he doesn't deserve, in my opinion, he was good, but De Bruyne was next level. I'm gonna say that Henderson and Cruz switch positions, and I'm also gonna say that Fabinho and Kante. But the only reason I don't know if they've included Fabinho as a defensive midfielder, then maybe he doesn't get that because he's also played this season at centre back. So it's a bit confusing. Again, with Kimmich, he played at right back a lot last season. But I'll just leave it how it is. I'll swap Casemiro and Kante. I think Fabinho, after his injury last season, he came back. He had a few games which he was a bit uncertain, which is going to bump his rating down a few, bump him down a few places on this list. But yeah, that's my rating, and that's all we're going to be. Oh wait, Arez has one last change before
That's
we.
why I got to mention Brozovic. So I think he had a. I think he deserves to be on the list. Obviously, Inter didn't do that much. They just reached the finals of the Europa League. But I think him and maybe Verratti can switch, and maybe Henderson can move up the list. Yeah, apart from that, up the list meaning towards like he's at what 6th now. Maybe he can move to 7th or 8th. That's it.
That's all we have for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit of a longer episode than we normally do, but it's a big episode. It's a big match day coming up tomorrow I'm sure everyone will be entertained. Sure do hope we see some last minute winners. But yeah, that's all we have for today. So SND Talk Football out.